word Yankee. I don't know what part, you still haven't told me what part of America you're from, if you are indeed from America. A Yankee is, that word that came from the fact that, all right, in most of all of the 13 colonies were originally British, except one. One that was not British, it was Dutch. The Dutch were in the colonies. They were mad dope sailors. Everyone says the Spanish and the Portuguese were better sailors. Nah, the Dutch were the best sailors. They could get, they were everywhere before everyone. They discovered Tasmania, Easter Island, like remotest fucking places. They were there first. The Dutch knew what they were doing, but the Dutch were all about hustling. The Dutch are all about trading. They're not about, the Dutch, to sail around the world, you have to have little spots every couple of thousand miles. You have to like be able to pull over and fix the shit up. So they had that. Like South Africa, there was one of them. There was places in India. There's a place like the only other place they had a colony was a place called Batavia in like Borneo or something, like Spice Islands. Like that was a big deal too. Spice. It wasn't gold. It wasn't silk. It was spice. You could load up a ship full of spice and be rich for the rest of your life. And like spice is like small enough, and it's like a lot of the reason why the drug trade is so popular. You know what I mean? Like, you load up a truck full of that shit and move it, and you're paid for the rest of your days. But the Dutch, when they came across what was New York Harbor, where where New York is, they were like, "What? That's like a dream geologically to start." Like if you're building a city, if you know what you're doing with building cities, especially with shipping and using boats, that was all you could ask for. The Dutch was like, "No, we got to do it. We got to make a city here. You can't say no to that." There was a one spot, and I mean it's really not that too far from Holland. I mean, you just go across 3,000 miles, but I mean, you basically follow the currents. You just head west from Europe, and then you hit Canada. You just whittle your way down the east coast. So they started what is we call New York was New Amsterdam originally. They started in like 1630. I think 1635 was the original date. So there was already pilgrims in Boston, English people there, and there was English people in Virginia at 1607. But New York Harbor, there was nobody there. Verrazano went in there. Hudson really opened it up, and told everyone there's Verrazano just went by it. He just happened to go by it, marked it in his books, and kept going and he was just looking for a passage. Hudson was like, "Yo, somebody should build a city here," and he was right. It's great. I mean, New York. There's like all these big, huge, like plots of land that go to different plots, like that go off in big, huge land masses, all converging. And there's a central island in the middle of it called Manhattan. So if you just like they can pull up and unload everything on that little island, Manhattan. And then you can like start building outwards everywhere. So like it's everything you could ask for, and it's a harbor, so like ships can pull in and like chill out. It's out of the ocean. Well, eventually, in like about 70 years later, I think it's like 1680s, the British and the Dutch were at war, and in Europe, and they squashed it. And part of the settlement of that was that the Dutch give up this colony of New Amsterdam. Now, it was only like the bottom tip of what's now Manhattan. It was very small. And it was a very amalgamation. Like, it was like kind of all the, like Philadelphia was like that at first. Boston was like that. Where there was just like, and it would continue on like that for hundreds of years, where just kind of everyone from everywhere just came there and stayed there. There was like Dutch was the main language spoken there, but there was something like 24 different languages among the 1,000 or so people that lived there when it became New York. So when the British took it over, They sent troops there. They built a new fort there. They were going to make it British, and it was not going to be called New Amsterdam anymore. It's going to be called New York. It was, the Duke of York had something to do with it. Somebody in the bigwig in the politics, royal highness type shit. So there's like, by now, there's been 60, 70 years passed by. People that were Dutch had been there all along and were born there. They never knew Holland or Europe. They were born there. And when the British came, they're like, you gotta, we're pushing people around, kind of being dicks, kind of like, yo, you gotta talk English, and you gotta start acting like a Brit or an English person now. It's like, no. There was a lot of people that were like, no, we're not doing this, fuck the English. There's a little bit of small riots, like rumble, fighting back. One guy, like, stood up and got vocal and got snippy with the police, the military over there. Like, no. Don't tell me what I have to do. I'm not from Europe. I don't recognize England or Holland. I'm American. I was born here. This is all I know, and this is where I'm staying, and I'll speak what the fuck I want. So I'm not speaking English. And I think fighting broke out. I think he got shot soon after that. It got ugly, and that was that. But and the British quickly, made it in New York, and nobody ever thought of it again. Most people don't even recognize that. Blows my mind that happened. The name of that guy was Ian, or Jan, in Dutch is Jan Kees, Kees. Jan Kees, Yankee. And the British forever, anytime anyone put America before Europe, they're just like absurd to them. Like, how do you think there's nothing here, and we're Europe? Anyone who did that, they'd call me Yankee. It was a diss. It was kind of a put down, but it was named after that guy. The word went away after that, like 1690, for like 60 years. Everyone forgot about it, I guess. Didn't get written down. It was just a nickname, or the guy's name, but that's what they called anyone. And that's what British people just started calling everyone in America, Americans, Yankees. They're not European. Anyone who's like not, or no ties to Europe, is an Ian Keys, a Yankee. So that phrase disappeared from 1690 up until about, I guess, sometime in the late 1750s, early 1760s. At some point or another, during the French and Indian War, or as the rest of the world calls it, the 7 Years' War. That was a world war in the 18th century. Like, that happened in India, Asia, I think Far Asia. The parts of it happened in the Middle East, in the Caribbean, in North America, and in Europe, and in Africa. Sometime in that war, there's official documentation back in England where a field commander was a letter back to, I don't know, base back to England. Somehow it's documented. It's in a library in London. He said something like, he did a report and was like, my cohorts, the Indians are held at bay. The French have run. My cohorts